The steady drone of the overworked air conditioning units had become part of the daily existence of the lab. Today, this subterranean facility was particularly abuzz with activity, as Dr. Martin, the Chief Administrator and top research professor of New Zealand's top biological research colony, deep under Waihuru, made his final rounds before leaving. He had been called by the Prime Minister, Helen Clark, to travel to overseas research colonies. His work on biological mutations had made him a world leader in his field. He was off to gather as much information as possible. No one knew when he would be back. The journey wouldn't be easy. Jeff hurried down the corridor. He was late for the morning debrief. His mind flicked back to the first time he'd gone through these corridors. It had been a chance of a lifetime to study under Dr. Martin. That was 6 years ago, and a lot had happened since then. He stepped into the conference room. Everyone was waiting. Dr. Martin addressed his research assistants. "We're about to see if your reduced student fees have been worthwhile. I'm leaving you with all of my notes and all the resources that this facility has in order to carry on my work while I'm away." His final words hung in the thick air. It was an awesome responsibility for the 5 assistants. The professor had been working on a cure for a deadly virus. Over the next few months, the 5 assistants worked late every night. They utilised the facility's ageing and somewhat unreliable computers to link via the internet with overseas facilities in their research. Each assistant had their own computer and samples of the virus. They wrote modelling programs and used virtual reality equipment in analysing the virus. Their work included performing delicate tests upon the virus samples. The seriousness of their task was brought home when 2 of the 5 died while performing an experiment upon their virus samples. The bodies were isolated and cremated. The support team in the colony continued to pray for a miracle. A couple of months later, the professor returned. Tired and weary from his journey, he called his assistants to report on their work. John, the first assistant, showed him the information he had gathered over the internet and a resynthesized benign version of the virus. The professor was delighted. "This puts us ahead of the work being done in Britain. I'm promoting you to head up our facility in Wellington." Claire, the second assistant, presented her notes and observations and the results of several tests carried out upon her virus samples. "This is excellent work too," said the professor. "How would you like to head up our Auckland facility?" Finally, Jeff gave his report. "Doctor, here are your notes, which I've typed up and bound for you. I didn't think that I could improve upon them. I know how thorough you are, and I was afraid to experiment on the virus, especially after the other 2 died." The professor blew his stack. "Not only have you wasted your education and my time, you've wasted the valuable resources of this facility. We can't afford to feed freeloafers. You're out of here, Jeff." Banned to the surface without precious survival gear, Jeff collapsed on his knees and waited to die. It would only be hours before the deadly virus, released 5 years earlier upon the world by Saddam Hussein, claimed his life. The research facilities housed the few survivors of the attack and have become the world's last hope of survival.